If you were to look around you, how many things here are red? Maybe it was a stop sign at the corner when you were driving here. Maybe it's a Marilyn Monroe red lip moment. Or maybe it's this red circle I'm standing on. Red is everywhere. It is bold, it's unmissable, and impossible to ignore. In my own religion, Hinduism, red is more than just a color. It is a symbol of femininity, of power, and prosperity. It's the deep kumkum offered in prayer. It's the silk of a bride's sari, and it's the flowers offered to deities. Red is sacred, it is divine, and it is meant to be seen. Yet there is one kind of red that the world pretends not to see. A kind of red that stains a school uniform. A kind of red that keeps a girl home, and a kind of red that is hidden in silence. Every month, half the world bleeds, and yet we whisper, we hide. We call it that time of the month rather than calling it a period. We slip pads up our sleeves on the way to the bathroom, and we lower our voices when we talk about cramps. But here's the truth about that silence. It isn't just cultural, it is costing people their dignity, their education, and their futures. According to the 2023 State of the Period study, 23% of US teens continue to face this reality. 40% have worn pads far longer than recommended because they had no other alternative. And nearly 17 million people who menstruate experience period poverty. But what is the cost? 1 in 4 US teens have needed to skip school because they did not have products. And this doesn't just stop at school. In the workplace, a St. Louis University study found that 36% of employees who menstruate have missed 1 or more days of work due to the fact that they too did not have access to menstrual products. These numbers are not exaggerations. And here's the irony of it all. 21 US states still tax menstrual products as luxuries and not as basics. 500 million people worldwide continue to face period poverty. Period poverty is not just biological. It is a mirror held up to our society. When half the world bleeds but is bled of opportunity, what does that say about our humanity, the humanity between you and me? I did not first learn about period poverty in a classroom. I learned about it when I was 13, amidst a global pandemic scrolling YouTube. I came across this YouTube video. It was strangers talking about their period stories. Some spoke about missing school, some spoke about shame, but some spoke about having to make an impossible choice between food and products for the week. And I thought to myself, if this was the reality for them, how many more suffered in silence? So at 13, I started soaring doves. But here's the truth. Even though I started this nonprofit that was focused on addressing period poverty, I was mainly just angry then. I was angry that something so natural, so common, was attached to so much shame and guilt. But it was my parents, and it was my community that really helped me take that raw anger and shape it and craft it into an organization that can make so much change. And since then, what started as a singular drive, it has grown into a network that has and will continue to make change. We have raised over 70,000 menstrual products. We've partnered with coalitions like Georgia Stomp, and we've held workshops where people can finally say the word period without any shame. Through this work, I've spoken to legislators. I've been featured on the news, and I've really seen the change that we could make. But the true thing that stays with me through all of this is not the shiny numbers, but rather the stories. The stories about how people can finally take dignity and pride in their period. So that's what it's all about. Not numbers, but dignity being restored one story at a time. Today, I'm a Georgia Tech Industrial and Systems Engineering student and a Gold Scholar, which is kind of fitting because both Pats, Soaring Doves, and my major have taught me to view this world as systems. Systems that can either hold you back or set you free. So when I think about supply chains, I think about the supply chain of dignity. I think about how products are made, about how policy gets to decide what products are luxuries and what products are basic, and how distribution gets to decide who gets to stay in class, who gets to go to work, and who gets to live with dignity. Because the way I see it, menstrual equity is not just a social issue. It's a systems issue. And as an activist and an engineer in training, I believe we can and must recreate these systems so that they serve everyone. Menstrual equity is not a niche. It's about access, it's about justice, and it is about human dignity. I can stand up here and throw more numbers. There are plenty of studies to pull from, but at the end of the day, it's not just a policy problem. It's a social problem, and it is a silence problem. The real revolution is not about just handing out pads. It's about recreating that system so that no one else ever has to ask. Imagine airports, imagine schools, imagine workplaces where period products are as expected as toilet paper. That's not charity. That is infrastructure, and that is equity. Every single one of us has power in this. To advocate for tax reform, to support local drives, and to demand policy to treat period products not as luxuries, but as basics. And most importantly, we have the power to stop the silence. Let's practice that right now, refusing the silence. In the count of 3, say the word period with me, and just let it hold. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Period. Say this word and have these conversations, all until it doesn't feel weird anymore. Because red has always been here. In temples, because red is divine. In classrooms, because red is scientific. And in conversations waiting to be had, because red is human and red is natural. Red was never meant to be hidden because red is power and humans are divine. And dignity should never be something one has to fight for. Thank you.